Joining us now is News Corp columnist Louise Roberts and entertainment reporter for news.com.au, Bronte Coy. Ladies, fabulous to have you back on the show. Now, Louise, I'll start with you. Omid Scobie's book Endgame is going to be released on the 28th. There have been advance copies already circulating to report on the book ahead of its release. The allegations, the reports, what it has to say, it's all coming very thick and fast. What are the main takeaways for you?
Hi, Caro. I think apart from Meghan's claim to Charles in private letters that there were in fact two racists in the royal family, which itself is very shocking to make that allegation, it's also the fact that Meghan has no interest in reconciling with Harry's family. She will not go back to live in England or the UK in general, and was very hurt by the royals and how she says they treated her during the Queen's funeral, the fact that she was snubbed from there. So there's a lot of information coming in around that as well. I think what's interesting is the fact that she has taken reconciliation off the table completely, according to this book, and yet Harry seems to have softened somewhat. That apology he has demanded over and over again for himself and for Meghan and for anyone else he feels aggrieved by his family, he's softened on that. It's almost like, well, if I get it or if I don't get it, but let's all reconcile, which really puts the two of them at odds with each other. He's keen to get back with his family. She wants absolutely no part of it. I thought that was very interesting. I think William is rather unfairly portrayed as cold and calculating, quite ruthless, engaged in some kind of pitched battle with his own father, and he's very impatient to become king. Now, of course, that's not going to happen until his father dies. So I don't really know why he would be, competing with his father in that way. There's also some allegations around Kate that she has always been very competitive with Meghan and would talk more about Meghan rather than talk to Meghan itself, and apparently sort of has a strange sort of reaction whenever she hears Meghan's name mentioned. So there's certainly, as usual, there's always people who probably won't go on the record to defend themselves, and including, of course, our favourite royal, Princess Anne, who apparently was very involved in making sure that Frogmore Cottage was taken off the Sussexes and they could no longer live there. But to that, again, she won't defend herself over that allegation. But why would she get involved in that? I would think, as probably our busiest royal, why would she get involved in the minutiae of who's living in a cottage on the estate? So, again, a lot to sort of chew over. Some things are very familiar themes, as you say, but it'll be interesting to see what comes out in the next days as well.
Yeah, excellent insight there, Louise. And Bronte, I'm just more interested in this, I guess, in like a global sense. How does this book fit into the overall picture of the royal family and where the dispute currently sits between the Sussexes and the rest of the family?
Contextually, it's come at such an interesting time because, as Lou just touched on then, it's not just in the book that we're hearing that Harry is keen on reconciliation with his family. It does appear to be the case from a number of, sources in the Sussex camp recently that he is making moves towards repairing that relationship with his dad. So it does seem to be the case that that is the strategy moving forward. And if that is the case, I can't imagine that this book, which we already, I'll reserve judgment until I can read the entire thing, but it certainly seems that from what we've seen so far, we are going to be rehashing a lot of the disputes over the last few years, a lot of those key disagreements. For example, the one between William and Harry when the Queen was in her final hours and he couldn't get onto William to fly with the family to Balmoral, things like that. That's going to be extremely unhelpful if it is the case that that Harry's trying to reconcile with his dad. So it has come at a really interesting time, and it's also the case that after a huge year of weathering these, familial issues, we are now at the end of 2023, and for these issues to be rehashed again, which it does appear to be something that is now going to be happening this week, it again is extremely unhelpful for the royals. Surely they're just thinking, it's been a year. We've had a big year of this. We've weathered it, and now we're going to be going back over old issues. So contextually, it's a very interesting time. I don't know that it will help the situation in mending fences, but we'll see, I suppose.
And Louise, speaking about rehashing disputes and going around the mountain again and again, what's going on with the invites for the Royal Christmas?
Well, of course, the ultimate event to be invited to if you're a member of the royal family is the Christmas at Sandringham, of course, which the Queen used to preside over. And of course, now King Charles and Queen Camilla will run that affair and that day. We believe that some of Camilla's extended family are coming along, but who is not on the guest list, of course, is Harry and Meghan and their children. And given the current environment, that current sort of ice sheet which is laying over the royal family and Harry at the moment, frankly, I'm not surprised. I mean, why would they be invited? And if they turned up, that would be very jarring because we're told that Harry and William aren't even speaking. So why would the future king have his brother there? It's just an absolute mess. And really, it's their doing, in a way.
And Bronte, this, again, contextually, this back and forth on every occasion about who does and doesn't get invited. Yes, of course we talk about it on this show, but it gets a bit dull after a while. Do you see it changing at all?
I don't know how long it will take for this to ease off for these big family occasions for a couple of reasons. I was thinking about this just earlier, and the reality is it feels like a really long time in a lot of ways since King Charles became the king, but actually it's only been just over a year. And also in that time, so many pieces have moved because we did have the release of the Netflix series and Harry's memoir. All of those things shifted the board with the royal family into different places. You know, things were strained already, but that's certainly changed it again. And now with these reports that Harry, possibly Meghan, but definitely Harry is moving towards reconciliation with the family, you know, that's another piece again moving. And with Queen Camilla's family being invited to Christmas, I guess what I'm saying is there are a lot of things that are actually still up in the air after having so many years of a very traditional Christmas with the late Queen and, you know, the same guest list every year and the same way that things would roll out. I suppose at the moment what we're looking at is a real changing of the guard in terms of how this is going to look into the future. So, yeah, I think we'll be talking about it for these big family occasions for a little bit more. But, you know, until the situation eases with all of this back and forth between the royals and Harry and Meghan, the content's there. And I think that it'll be interesting to a lot of people.
And I think there's a lot of people that are a bit miffed too, Bronte, because apparently there's an upmarket boutique in LA which hosts a holiday hypocrisy window. And this year, Harry and Meghan are the stars of the show. Please tell us about it. This is fabulous.
Yeah, look, it's a bit of an unfortunate trend that's emerging in Hollywood at the moment. Of course, this is just a bit of fun. So it's a boutique in West Hollywood called Kits, and it's very iconic and has a very, very good celebrity clientele that it's boasted for many years. And they do put quite tongue-in-cheek posters up in the window. And every year they have the Hollywood hypocrites. They've had Hunter Biden in the past. They've had Chrissy Teigen in the past, who's obviously had quite a few controversies. And this year it's Harry and Meghan, along with printouts apparently of articles talking about their hypocrisy in terms of taking private jets and also, you know, campaigning for ecotourism, etc. So, look, it's not great. It's obviously a joke and it's quite funny, but it does follow a bit of an unfortunate trend at the moment in Hollywood with them off the back of South Park and off the back of the Family Guy sketch. They can't be loving themselves being parodied so much by their peers in the industry at the moment. So look, a bit of fun, but probably, and they'd be concerned that it's a trend that is continuing.
And I think that's the point, right, Louise? Obviously, when a retail store feels like it can do something like that, it's fairly emboldened.
It is.
People are noticing. Everyone's noticing. This is actually an issue, though, for them.
It is an issue, and I think also they need to embrace the parody rather than sort of getting miffed about it and thinking that it's, you know, somehow destroying their brand. They should actually show they have a sense of humour and become more relatable. You know, South Park and Family Guy were examples of that as well. So rather than saying this is terrible, this is really bad for our brand, get on board with it. That would actually make them more likeable and, you know, real in a way.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Bronte, the Sussexes attended a nice hockey game this week. We have some great photos actually from that event. Can you tell us about the appearance?
Yeah, and actually, just on what Lou said there with this, luckily we've seen them having a bit of fun this week, and that's what we'd like to see. You know, them, you know, either making fun of themselves or laughing at, you know, other people taking little funny jabs, but also them just letting loose, which is what happened this week. So they turned up at a Vancouver ice hockey game, and Harry did the ceremonial puck drop at the beginning. He looked very pleased to be there. It actually was following in the footsteps of his late grandmother, who did the exact same thing at the same place 21 years ago. So that was quite nice, a quite nice moment. But also the two of them, what struck me, they've had a bit of a dramatic few weeks in the headlines once more, but they seem to be having a great time. So either they have, it's all been water off a duck's back, or they're just huge ice hockey fans. But they were jumping out of their seat, they were dancing, they were drinking, they looked to be having a really good time. And that was all as in celebration of the fact that Vancouver will be hosting the 2025 Invictus Games. So it was quite a surprise appearance, but quite a happy one from the Sussexes.
Yeah, they did look to be having fun, and good on them. Like, they do still put up with a lot, that is true. Now, Louise, I've got a bit less than a minute, but even with the release of this new book and all manner of reports hitting the media, Princess Kate has still got time to, attend to her passion project, which is early childhood learning.
That's right, and what a class act she is. She's not letting any sort of bad publicity or perceived publicity derail her from her. I really see early childhood as Kate's legacy. I mean, she set up the Royal Foundation Centre for Early Childhood, and it's not just some sort of pretend outfit. It really does get into the weeds with real people, and she's got banks on board and she's got government ministers on board, and she's recognised quite accurately that cost of living at Christmas is a major, major issue for young families, not only in the UK but globally as well. So she wants to do whatever she can to raise awareness of that and help with baby banks and various gifts that can be donated to people to really help them at a difficult time of year. So she's not sort of dropped it as a project.
Absolutely.
If anything, I think this has completely emboldened her to really drive forward and make it her legacy.